Welcome back to the Slide Job Podcast. I'm your host, Colton Smith, here joined by producer Josh Northcutt, who is currently just a J, and co-host Ben Miller. Fellas, it has been a while since we got the Friday show done. We took the Friday off during the off week or before Talladega, and then we didn't plan on it, but thanks to some weather and other stuff, the last week's got canceled. And so then 2 Fridays off. It feels like forever since I've talked to you guys about some NASCAR. So I'm really excited. First and foremost, though, I want to say congrats to Josh on graduation and all the hard work he's been putting in these last couple weeks. That's what's really been holding him back from being on the pod, which is fine. Me and Bull have been doing great. But doing some great work with NKU baseball and graduating here today in terms of the video. So congrats, Josh.
Appreciate it, man.
Buddy, you earned it.
Appreciate it, guys. Like you said, Colton, I feel like the last month my schedule has been absolutely insane. So I feel bad that I missed quite a few podcasts, but now that graduation is going to basically be happening as everybody's watching this, that's a little off my back and gives me more time to start doing some stuff that I love, such as this podcasting.
Yeah, we got some big announcements coming up in the next couple of weeks for this podcast and all the podcasts that we're looking to start here, but I'll leave that for another day. I'm not sure exactly how my audio is coming through, and my background is disgusting, so I do want to apologize for that. Currently working an internship up in North Dakota, and this is about the only spot I have with internet that I can record the show. So for the next couple of weeks, it's going to be like this. And I also don't have ability to edit. So it'll be this usual 3-box thing for at least the next week or two. So I do want to apologize for the dip in quality there. I think I move into my own room where I'll be able to put up a desk and my computer not this coming Monday, but the Monday after that. So can't wait for that. And getting this podcast back to what is the usual quality. But without those little notes out of the way now, let's go ahead and talk about the big news from this week. And that is actually what came out today. Is kind of some scary news for 23XI and Front Row in the lawsuit, as some article came out and a lot of quotes were quite interesting, as there was a hearing, I believe, yesterday, and it's been just filed now, or maybe it was today. Anyways, I got all this from a story from Mike Barber of the AP, and basically the judges of the current lawsuit between Front Row, 23XI, and NASCAR indicated that they should not be able to compete as chartered teams despite not signing the agreement, which is what the regional court, which I think they're now up to federal or above district court. I didn't mean to say regional. They've moved up, and these judges kind of have a new philosophy. So what NASCAR lawyer Chris Yates said was the district court broke precedent by granting the injunction, saying the release clause in the charter contracts forbidding the teams from suing is common. And he argued that essentially the teams should not have the benefits of the charter system that they are trying to overturn in this lawsuit. Now, Front Row and 23XI's lawyer, Jeffrey Kessler, said there is nowhere else to compete, and overturning this would cause significant damage to both the teams involved, and really could, he didn't say this, but it really could silence them, as they won't have the funds to further go down this lawsuit, and probably just push them into having to sign the agreement if that's even on the table anymore. And then here are the comments that the judges made that really make me believe that, they're not going to have a charter here soon. The comments were to Kessler, the lawyer for Front Row and 23XI. It seems you want to have your cake and eat it too. And they also said if the teams want to race, they should sign the charter. But also I saw there was a trial date set for December. So maybe this won't be an issue for a while. Not entirely sure. But Ben, I know you had some thoughts on it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, though, with all this going on since, going back to last season, it's just absolutely crazy, though, that 23XI and Front Front Row Motorsports are continuing with the charter debate. And to be honest, though, every time when I pull up an article, I just get confused. Like, why are we doing this? It just, to me, it just doesn't really make any sense. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, if they do end up getting a charter though, I mean, they'll be allowed to compete in all races. And I don't know if I'm saying that right, but maybe it gives them an advantage with sponsorships. But I mean, hopefully they can figure it out though, because this whole thing is a mess in my opinion.
So if you need a reminder, the teams filed the antitrust lawsuit against NASCAR back in October. And they basically argued that the series bullied the teams, which the series did. They bullied the teams into signing the new charter agreement that they had been negotiating for about 2 years, I believe. So they essentially gave them a week. Then they're like, oh, we have these problems with it. They renegotiated, and they just sent basically the same thing again and said, hey, I need this by tomorrow, and expected them to read a 40-page document. They did end up giving an extension. It came out in the lawsuit. But regardless, NASCAR basically is using their power as the one and only stock car racing sport that has the level and influence that you get from NASCAR, the also monetary gain and whatnot. They use that as, hey, we're the big dogs. We don't really care what you think. We tried to help you out a little bit, but you're going to sign this. You're going to be stuck in these terms for the next it was 2020 or 2031. So that's why we're in this lawsuit. And I absolutely think Front Row and 2311 are justified for being in this lawsuit, because it's time that NASCAR doesn't own a monopoly, or at least we have a much more friendly NASCAR that actually listens to teams, drivers, and fans, which happens once or twice a season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now that you sum that up, that makes sense. And like I said, hopefully they'll figure something out for sure.
Agreed. Josh, do you have anything to comment on here?
Yeah, so I guess my first question would be, so basically, if the judge says these cars are no longer charter, that means those 4 or 5 cars basically have to qualify on time, correct? 6. So yeah, sorry. 6 cars need to qualify on time. Is that correct, Colton?
Yes. Additionally, they will not receive. They will receive like maybe 5% of the what is it called? The winnings that they're entitled to. I don't know if 5% is the correct number. Let me just say a shorter percentage of the winnings that they would get for their finishes, their revenue that they get. They don't get weekly revenue from NASCAR. This would essentially cut them off financially. This would also hey, if a sponsor sponsors a race and somehow they don't make it, that could be another huge issue for a team, especially considering Noah Gragson has looked so terrible this year. It's not, you are cutting off these teams by taking it away. And you're basically at that point, they're not going to have the money probably to continue the lawsuit, because they have to try and keep this team afloat. And at that point, you're just going to have to sign the agreement. And we're back into the antitrust issues that we had that started this whole lawsuit in the first place. And at this point, if you don't get it done now, I don't think it'll ever get done. And we will just have this very sad state of NASCAR.
And then I guess my other mindset on this is if you're going to kill a team, you're arguably killing one of the most talented drivers in NASCAR. You're killing a team that is like I don't want to use the word grooming, but like pushes forward drivers. Like young drivers learn at Front Row, and then they go on to a bigger job.
Develops drivers.
Thank you. Yes, develop type driver system, and then you're also killing the name Michael Jordan in NASCAR, which I get it may not have the deep old school roots, but for new fans, Michael has brought a ton of eyes to NASCAR, a ton. And you're telling me if Jordan just is like, you know what, I'm done with it, I'm bailing out. So then you just lose arguably the most I want to say arguably, you will lose the most well-known owner in all of NASCAR.
Yeah. No, it's very silly. I think this whole thing alienating. Like, I don't 2311 and front row wouldn't be doing this if there wasn't an issue, because they are the ones at risk. Their teams are at risk. And you know what happens if they lose their charters? They don't get them back if it all works out for them. Those charters are free for Rick Ware, for Dale Jr., which I would love to see happen, but still, it's kind of silly.
That would be nice
for anybody to come in and just pick them up. And I don't even think they would have to compensate front row or 2311. Don't quote me on that, but I don't see why they would, because technically they're getting them taken away from them. They don't own them anymore, so they shouldn't be able to sell them. Would be cool if they did, but it shouldn't just be an issue in the first place. So yeah, you're really just screwing over two staple teams. Let's be honest, 2311 is a little higher on the totem pole than front row, but front row has been around, a staple of this sport for a long time. And they do have some great drivers in Zane Smith, Todd Gillen. You're cutting off that Ford pipeline. And with 2311, you mentioned you have Tyler Reddick, one of the most talented drivers in the sport, who's competing for a championship this year. Bubba Wallace, looking like he's getting up there as a top 10 driver in this sport. And
Definitely,
he's also one of the probably the most marketable driver in the sport right now. And you're just cutting those guys off. You're screwing them over. So what NASCAR is doing by continuing to push and try to get these teams off their feet, they are just only hurting themselves by doing this, if you ask me. So any final thoughts on all of that?
I think that summed up everything.
Josh?
You said it best. It's NASCAR cutting its own feet off and setting the sport back yet again, which nobody does it better than NASCAR.
Nobody does it better than NASCAR and the France family. That is for certain. And yeah, I hope it's pushed off December so we don't have to worry about mid-season them losing their charters and all of that. Tyler Reddick could get out of his contract as well. Not that I'm sure well, yeah, you probably do, because you don't know what the future of this team looks like at this point. Because if they lose their charter and they're not making as much money, that means the equipment at some point is going to start getting worse. If I'm Tyler Reddick, I just want a more stable situation. If I'm Bubba Wallace, I want a more stable situation. If I'm Riley Herbst, I'm just happy to be in the Cup Series. But that's enough on 2311 in front row. I'm sure there'll be plenty of stuff to come out. I'm sure Denny will have a lot to say about it on his podcast, if not in interviews this weekend. So let's go ahead and leave that to bed and maybe continue that on Monday. The next thing we have to talk in this pace lap really quick, the NASCAR championship rotation. This is something that kind of already has been announced by Bob Pockrass and all of that, but it was officially announced by NASCAR with a really, really cool, I cannot stress enough, really cool video with Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski, who do not deserve to act again, but it was still a really fun and really nice little Back to the Future idea with those two. So I love seeing two NASCAR drivers promoting the sport in a commercial. I'll say that. Acting definitely could use some coaching there, but it was still a lot of fun. And so what that announcement basically was, we will be returning to Homestead finally in 2026 next season for the championship race. And then also it will be rotating. No tracks were named. We can probably guess a couple, but we will be rotating the championship race. And they did confirm that they don't necessarily have to do this, but they did say they would return to Phoenix at some point. Don't really have to do that. Please don't. But it will. Phoenix will become a round of 8 race. So maybe looking at that round of 8 as maybe some other tracks that'll rotate to the championship as well. But we already kind of knew this was coming. But what do you think about maybe more specifically that we have a confirmation that the championship race will rotate from year to year? Ben, what do you think about that?
Oh, I absolutely love that idea. I mean, when that first came out, I was hoping, yes, please, let's make this happen, because this is something we've never done in our sport, was rotating tracks all around, though. And I feel like when I heard that, though, it just made me think, like, this is going to be beneficial for a number of drivers, like Homestead, for example. I think of Tyler Reddick, because he's a guy that really gets around Homestead really well. He has a win. And when you go back to his Xfinity days, though, he has 2 NASCAR Xfinity championships, which were clinched at Miami. And I feel like with Homestead coming back to be the championship race, I feel like that is going to be really, really huge. And just going back to that Homestead race last year, though, when it was a battle between Hamlin, Blaney, and Reddick. Just seeing that battle itself, though, I was hoping, man, please bring back Homestead, because this needs to be the championship race. But overall, though, it's great to have Homestead be the championship race next year for 2026.
My mic was muted. Josh?
Rookie mistake there, Colton. Anyway, no. My mindset on all of it is all the great sports rotate the final championship, whether it's home court advantage, whether it's football with different Super Bowls. So I'm all for it. I just want to know what tracks we're talking about. That would be a little bit beneficial, because there's some that obviously I would absolutely love, and then there's some that it's like, please, Lord, don't do it. Case in point, let's please not do any road courses to end the year. I'm fine with them being in the final 3, but do not make a championship be decided on a road course.
Yeah. I think what the interesting thing about this is that there's still a lot of talks about what the playoff system is even going to look like. Let's say, in theory, maybe by the year after next, I think this confirms we have the playoffs for at least one more year. Maybe the year after next, they'll decide to go back to the chase system, or though they won't do that, but maybe they'll go to a 3-race final round in the playoffs, which I would love and very much appreciate. You can do 1 to 2 races at the start, a couple first rounds, and then finish with the 3-race final round, or 4 to 5, whatever you want to do. But the championship might not be the only race in the final round, is my point. And it's interesting to see. It's interesting if that'll be something that we don't really think about until we get the announcement that we change the playoff system. I'm really hoping they do. I'm excited. I'm very excited to see what tracks are brought up and what else we get to see from that. But is there any last comments on that before we move along?
Pretty much, I'm just looking forward to seeing what kind of tracks will be beneficial for the championship race, because, like I said, it's gonna switch things up a little bit in NASCAR, which I feel like that's gonna draw more fan and viewers. That's gonna increase viewership and get more fans engaged, and it's gonna be how do I say it? It's gonna be great to go to all these different tracks and see how these drivers develop into the new system. So it's definitely going to be fun.
And I think that's the one thing that we didn't mention, is that it also could be exciting for other fans. Say we do get Kansas in the last race. Kansas isn't that high, big priority type race, but then for that fan base in that location, you get everybody going to that area to watch a race because it matters most. So that's another aspect to it that falls into play.
All right. I absolutely agree on that. So we're going to go ahead and leave the news, hot topics portion of the show and move along to the power rankings. Josh does not have he wrote them down, but doesn't have his power rankings on him. So he told us to delegate it to Ben. I don't remember mine because I also wrote them down, don't have them here. Great preparation from me, and definitely rushed here after work and didn't think about that part of it. But I do remember Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin being 1, 2. I believe Byron was 3, maybe Bell 4, and Chase Elliott rounding out my top 5, but don't quote me on that. Ben, though, what do you have for this week on your power rankings?
All right, starting off at number 5, I got the number 20 of Christopher Bell. It's been a couple rough weeks for him. Obviously he wasn't a factor in Texas despite finishing in 9th. He's kind of cooled off since winning 3 in a row, but he is going to Kansas, which has been a really good track for him. Three consecutive poles with 3 consecutive top 10s. So look for him to try to get that momentum back a little bit. Number 4, I got Denny Hamlin. It's been a rough 2 weeks for Hamlin, especially at Talladega in Texas. I expect him to bounce back in Kansas, though. Kansas is a track that suits him really well in this next-gen car. Consistent finishes, always up front, leading laps. And number 3, I got Ryan Blaney. He's been coming on hot on these intermediate tracks with 3 top 5s in the last 4 races. He came back in the back of the pack from Texas to finish third. Like I said, he's been strong on intermediate tracks, and I feel like if they minimize the mistakes, that 12 car is going to be in victory lane soon. Number two, I got the 24 of William Byron. He finished 13th at Texas last week after that pit road contact with Cole Custer. But prior to that, though, he had a strong car leading 22 laps. And going into Kansas, he has a point lead over his Hendrick teammate Kyle Larson by just 3 points. In Kansas, he showed speed last fall, finishing second to Ross Chastain. And I feel like he'll try to bounce back this week. And topping off my power rankings this week, gentlemen, I got the 5 car of Kyle Larson, another top 5 performance at Texas, led a race high 90 laps, and just continues to be consistent and getting stronger and stronger as the season progresses. And we go to a racetrack where he comes in as the defending race winner, if we can recall that finish last year. But Larson in that 5 car, they are not slowing down anytime soon, and I feel like they're going to keep the momentum going. So that is my power rankings this week.
All right. Yeah, no arguments there for sure. Larson's going to be an absolute fiend. He's been one of the top drivers at this track since the next gen era. And you can imagine who the other ones at the top of the list are, but we'll wait to find those out as we go through our Fast Five, which we are getting to right now. It's been a minute. We missed a race. That's okay. But it's time. This is it. We gotten a couple of weeks off. It's time for me to get back on the grind here and hopefully make some great picks. Ben absolutely killed us last time. He had Cindric winning, had Cindric on his team. I think he had Logano who finished top 10. There's somebody else in the top 10 there. If not for a couple.
Yeah, at Talladega, I think Logano, he got disqualified from.
Yeah, I didn't take that out. I left that in. He finished where he finished. It would have been. I mean, I guess I could have. And Alan Rush, thanks for letting me know. I'll think of that in the future.
That's very generous. Very generous of you. Thanks.
Yeah, well, I figured if I were to take it out, then I would start like getting great results, and like 2 of my drivers would start, getting disqualified. So we'll just leave that out. Let the race be the race, like NASCAR maybe should. I just realized how bad that glare is getting. Let me see if I can move that a little bit. I'll worry about that when we're going. So anyways, Josh had the least amount of points. I had the second least, and Ben had the most. So Josh, you get your first. Do you want the first pick, second pick, third pick? You get the pick, and then I'll follow suit.
I'll take first pick.
First pick. All right. Who are you taking with the first pick?
I'm going to take Denny Hamlin. I'm going to say NASCAR motivates him a little bit to kind of piss him off, I guess I would say, with this whole 23-11 thing. And I just can't wait for him to get to victory lane and open his mouth and probably say some things that NASCAR won't like.
Okay.
All right.
Ben? Oh, wait.
Right.
Never mind. Oh, I want to – yeah. Third pick.
All right, go. Okay.
I was trying to decide which one I wanted, I guess, in real time. You can have the second pick. I'll take third.
All right. So my first pick this week, guys, I'm going with the 5 car of Kyle Larson. Obviously, arguably the hottest driver in this 2025 season, though. He's been the most consistent driver. And like I mentioned before in my power rankings, we're going to a track this weekend where he's the defending race winner. And you know how Larson is on these mile-and-a-half tracks. He's been dominant at them this year. And I don't see that 5 car slowing down. So I got Larson.
Okay. I'm going in the same direction there with William Byron at number 3. He had a rough finish of the race last week, but he definitely had a bad fast car. And I actually watched Monday's show of the Slide Job podcast. Well, it was a part of it. So I'm going to take Tyler Reddick, and glad I had to make Josh, because I have a feeling Josh probably wanted him. But wanted Denny more. I'm taking Tyler Reddick and William Byron here at the 3 slot. I think that is an outstanding 3 spot for me.
Right. Yeah, Reddick was definitely my next pick, Gold.
Good. I wonder where you go now. Where we go now. But Ben, who you got at your pick?
All right, my second pick this week. I'm going with the 23 car of Bubba Wallace.
I hate both of you with an absolute passion.
I kind of
sorry,
knew
buddy.
That was coming. 2311 is too good at this track.
Yeah, definitely. But even though it was kind of rough for him last year at Kansas, I feel like this year they're going to regroup, and Bubba, he's going to be a factor on Sunday. And when you look at this year, he's been pretty strong at the mile and a half tracks. I mean, he showed flashes in Vegas. He came close to winning at Homestead, and before getting piled up in that wreck at Texas, though, he was running in the top 10, something like that. But yeah, I feel like with the momentum last week and just in general at these mile and a half tracks and the success that he's been having this year at those particular tracks, I feel like that's going to be beneficial as we head into the Sunflower State this weekend. So look out for Bubba.
All right, Josh, the ball is in your court.
Yeah, we're going to just keep it in the Toyota family. I'm going to go ahead and take Christopher Bell and Chase Briscoe.
Okay.
All right.
Martin Truex did very well in the 19 here. So I'm going to believe that Briscoe, with his talent, he'll be able to perform just as well. And as Ben has mentioned, Christopher Bell's had a rough few weeks. It seems like forever ago since he ran off those victory after victory after victory.
Agreed.
I think there's a good chance that he can find victory lane on Sunday.
Yeah, I like that.
Like that a lot. Back to you, Ben.
All right. My third pick this week, give me the 8 of Kyle Busch. I feel like obviously it's been kind of a rough stretch since COTA for that 8 group. But if you guys can recall last year, though, Kansas had been a really good track for him in 2024. He was running up in the top 5, top 10. And going back to last fall, though, he should have won that race. If it wasn't for that block from Chase Briscoe, I feel like he could have won that race. And I just feel like this weekend, I feel like this is a good opportunity for the 8 car to try to regroup and try to get some momentum going. So, and Kansas has been a good track for him. So don't sleep on that 8 car.
Okay. This is odd. I didn't think this would fall in my lap. I will take Ryan Blaney here in the third round. Been one of the best cars all year, and he's still got a 10th place average finish here. So pretty confident in his ability to run well and then probably blow an engine. Then I'm also going to take – do I take both of them? I don't know. I don't know if I take them both because they both, when I pick them, don't do well. I know Chinner will be mad at me if I take Alex Bowman, but I think I have to because Bowman at the tracks he's good at is good. I want to give a huge shout out to Hendrick for making him have the fourth worst car, so he probably blows something, engine, whatever, what have you. But I at least hope he'll get a stage win so I can get some points out of him.
All right.
Ben?
All right. So just going through this list right here. You know what? Give me the 54 of Ty Gibbs. I mean, after a rough start to this 2025 season, I feel like the last couple of weeks, that 54 group, they're starting to get their flow back a little bit, trying to put together some consistent runs. I mean, just going back to Darlington, finished 9th, and then 2 top 5s to follow after that. Led the most laps at Talladega, although he didn't get the result. But we even saw it at Texas. He was, I believe, he was running up in the top 5, running as high as 2nd. But yeah, I feel like we're seeing the Ty Gibbs that we expected to see at the beginning of the year, and I feel like they are going to keep the momentum going into Kansas. So watch out for the 54.
I like that pick. Josh, back to back, and you're done.
Yeah, I also like that pick, Ben. That was going to be my next pick, so thanks a lot for doing that now back-to-back rounds. I greatly appreciate that. You know, you could do the graduation favor and just give me one as a gift. As for this race, man, I almost feel like it gets ugly after this point. Some drivers to pick, not exactly great numbers anywhere really around.
You can always take Kurt Busch. He's got the best average finish in the next gen era.
Yeah. That sounds great. That sounds great. Except for the part where he doesn't drive, However, I'm going to go ahead and just take the guy who I've been taking I feel almost like every week. I'm going to take Christopher Buescher for no other reason than he's pretty darn consistent, finds a way into a top 10 a lot of these times. Not the best track record here, but still very skilled. And then I'm just going to take him because I feel like I'm going to be drinking a lot of Bushes this weekend. Give me Ross Chastain.
Okay. Yeah. I was waiting. That's who I thought you were going to say first. That's cool. I didn't want to take him anyways. Appreciate it.
All right.
Ben.
My last pick. Just going through these drivers real quick. You know what? I'm taking the 2-car of Austin Cindric.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like ever since that win at Talladega, they're starting to get their momentum going a little bit. We saw it at Texas last week where he was up front. He was leading 60 laps, won stage 1. And I feel like that 2-car, they're starting to catch the rhythm a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still need to see more on how they perform at intermediate tracks, though. But I feel like with Texas last week, that's the beginning of what we're going to see down the road at these 1.5-mile intermediate tracks. So, yeah, I'm keeping an eye on that 2-car this weekend because he's going places the last 2 weeks. And I feel like in the Sunflower State, he's going to keep it going. So watch out for Cindric.
Yeah. No, I agree. That was a very impressive performance at Texas, and he was definitely on my radar. I think I'm contractually obligated to take Chase Elliott at this spot, though. So also a 10th place average finish. So give me Chase Elliott to once again be an absolute non-factor and then somehow finish like 12th to 8th in that range. So I'll take those points. And yeah, that I'll be honest, I was not writing down the teams. So Ben, I think you are, right?
Yes.
So if you don't mind reading those out for like say Josh, Ben, you and myself, what those teams are.
All right, Colton, I'll start with you. So Colton has William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, and Chase Elliott. And Josh has Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, Chris Buescher, and Ross Chastain. And I have Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch, Ty Gibbs, and Austin Cindric.
Okay. All right. There's the recap. Let's talk about some of these favorites for this week before we give our race winners. We know 2311 has kind of had sort of this otherworldly speed here, and Denny Hamlin has figured out how to siphon that off as well. I'm trying to look up the odds here for Kansas, NASCAR, not basketball. So currently Kyle Larson does have the best odds as he was really fast at Texas, and he's been really great at these 1.5 miles. Interesting enough, Ryan Blaney is second on that list, though.
Yeah, that is interesting.
With the 650 plus 650, Reddick's there, Byron's there, Hamlin's there, Bell is also up there. Bowman and Wallace round out the top. I think that's an 8th. But to circle back to that of Ryan Blaney, I think it's just kind of a testament to he's been the fastest car in the field pretty much every race. It's just been a matter of he didn't have the short run speed at Texas, or else he probably would have won that race. And also if there wasn't like 50,000 cautions, that would have helped. And he had the fastest car at Phoenix, Homestead, engine blow. So there's no doubt he's been the fastest car in the field, but that doesn't win you a championship. You have to be able to finish the races. So maybe this is the one he finally gets it done. Who knows? They might know something we don't, and that's why it's higher odds, but that's still a plus odds. We'll see. I don't know. This isn't a betting channel, though. So looking at those odds, I heard Blaney surprised you. Was there any surprises that were on the list or not on the list?
I mean, just looking at this list, there's no surprises. I mean, Kyle Larson, like you mentioned, Colton, has been great on 1.5 miles. Ryan Blaney, I take this back. I was a little bit surprised to see Blaney have the second best odds going into the weekend. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's been fast, like you mentioned, arguably the fastest car, just needs to put together those finishes. I mean, he's been dealing with some engine issues, things like that, though. But if things go right with him this weekend, though, I can definitely see him going to victory lane for sure. But everybody else, for example, I feel like it seems about right. I mean, Tyler Reddick has been great on 1.5 miles. Does have a win at Kansas. William Byron has been great at Kansas. Denny Hamlin's been great. Bowman's been great. So, I feel like Yeah, they got it right.
So Josh has unfortunately dipped out of the conversation. I'm going to tell him to text me. Oh, he's back. Never mind. Never mind. He's back. Okay.
Okay.
I had me
There we
scared
go.
there for a second, Josh. I was going to tell you to at least text your race winner so I can reveal it.
Yeah, no, I just pulled up to my house, so my phone connected to my Wi-Fi, which completely just sent it into a frenzy.
That figures. That figures. We were just talking about the odds and some people on there. I thought Hamlin was interestingly a little bit low. But is there anything you want to say about the race? We know it's going to be a fun one. We know there's going to be passing and some beautiful stuff because it's Kansas. But anything you want to say before we give away our race winners?
Just for the odds, like you mentioned, Hamlin, Bell, and Bowman kind of stick out to me. I would have expected Hamlin to be number 2 over Blaney.
Agreed.
I know Blaney's shown some really, really fast stuff, but Hamlin's pretty darn good here. Bell is also the best driver that has not won at Kansas yet when it comes to the numbers. So that's just one that if those odds stay the same, I think I might look at that way. But as you mentioned, it's not a betting site, so that's not worried about that because we do not give out betting advice here because, well, I don't like losing people money.
I don't like losing people money and myself losing money as well.
Yeah, but as for a race itself, it's just exciting to get to a track that we know is going to have good racing. And there's a storyline also that potentially, I don't know what could be said, but if Denny Hamlin gets a microphone in front of his face this weekend, it could be interesting.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you had the first pick, Josh. So I'll go ahead and let you. I think we know where you're going with this, but let you pick the first race winner.
So I was all over Denny, but more and more I think about it, I am going to go Christopher Bell. I just think that he finds a way into victory lane this weekend. He kind of rights the ship to show that, yes, I'm still a contender in this race. Don't forget about me. There's a reason why I won back to back to back.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's definitely somebody that's been on my radar. Funny enough, like every 2311 driver has won at Kansas, so it's Riley Herbst's turn, right? No. I do think it stays within 2311 and goes to Tyler Reddick, although Ryan Blaney having that good of odds makes me think Vegas knows something we don't. Maybe he finally finishes the race in their script. So I don't know. I'm still going to stick with my gut. Going to stick with what Bull talked about on Monday and go with Tyler Reddick as my race winner.
All right. I like those picks, guys. But I'm sticking with 2311. I was kind of going back and forth on this pick. I mean, there's so many talented drivers going into this weekend at Kansas, but I'm going with Bubba Wallace. I feel like I mentioned earlier, he's been great at these 1.5 mile tracks this year. Showed flashes at Vegas, showed flashes at Miami, which he came close to winning. And in the past, Kansas has been a beneficial track for 2311. And even though it didn't work out for him last year, though, I feel like they are going to regroup and they're going to get back on track at Kansas. And I feel like Bubba might pull it out. So give me Bubba.
I like that. I think we all or you went with Bell, but I think we all feel that Toyota kind of has the reins here, and I think 2311 is a good one because what makes a better headline than the team currently suing NASCAR that had some developments recently wins the race this weekend. So I think that'd be great. I think that'd be hilarious, and seems like kind of a omen, if you will, to that, but.
I was going to say, I cannot wait for like a Hamlin, Reddick, Bubba 1, 2, 3 finish. And 2311 just gets the microphones in their face all post race. I'm just like, let NASCAR hear it. Just let them hear it.
Do it. Yeah, absolutely. So I believe that's all we got. That's our race winners. We got our team set. After 2 weeks off, it's time for the second run of the Fast Five. So Ben's got a big lead, but we're coming for you. At least I am.
Yeah. You guys got some catching up to you.
We sure do. But before I wrap up the show, is there anything you guys would like to bring up or talk about?
No, I'm just looking. Is next week the All-Star race? So we technically kind of got another break without a break.
Yeah, it is. It is the All-Star race.
Of course it is. All right.
Yes,
Well,
because why would we want to make any forward momentum?
yep. Sounds about right. Oh well. Well, we'll see what happens there, and we'll figure out what we can talk about during that whole mindset. But I'm just looking forward to like I said, getting back to a track that we know has good racing, has good
Agreed.
moments.
Agreed.
Yep.
All right. Well, if nothing else to say, I'll go ahead and say thank you all for listening. Be sure to like, hit that subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, myself at LFC__99, Josh at JNorth1989, and Ben at Ben Miller PXP. Thank you guys for coming on the show. Be sure to check out the What If you have not already, as that's doing some great numbers on the channel. So if you haven't already, a lot of people seem to be enjoying it. We've gotten a lot of great ideas from that. So be sure to check out the What If you haven't already. That's all I got. We'll see you all in the next one. Peace. All right, I'm still recording. I'll have to cut this. Great.